Hi, this is Florian from LifeScienceMentor.com. Welcome to day 8 of the 180-day idea challenge. Before I get to today's set of ideas, I'd like to remind you about what I said a week ago when I introduced this challenge. I said I wouldn't only take my ideas and talk about them, but I would also use at least one idea and put this in motion. And this week I chose to use the one of the ideas from day 3, which was about finding time in the day to 3 minutes to close your eyes and sit back and relax. And I've decided to do that and add that to my morning routine. Like at the end of my morning routine, the workout and the writing and everything, basically, before I start my day, I will close my eyes for 3 minutes and meditate a little bit. And I will tell you what I've learned from that, from adding that idea to my daily schedule and what you can learn from that. Okay, now to the idea challenge from today. It was about 14 iconic movies that can leave a deep impression on us and why. And I first thought, I can't think of any movies that I've seen, like maybe 3 or 4 came to my mind. But then I thought a little bit longer and realized, holy moly, I saw a lot of different movies. And I came up with a list of like almost more than 30 that I found were really, really good. I reduced that list over to 14. Maybe I come up with a part 2 later on, but just for the sake to keep it compact and easily digestible, I'll first introduce the 14 best movies that I have left a deep impression on me, and what I think we can all learn from these movies, and they're definitely all worth seeing. I can warmly recommend any one of these movies. First movie is E.T. the Extraterrestrial by Steven Spielberg. And this movie was so important because when I saw it at first, it saddened me that you could win a new friend and then you have to let that friend go. That was the message I got from that movie. So they find this extraterrestrial, they call E.T., and he takes part in the family life. 2 kids, which were my age. I was 7 years old when I saw that movie. And they were actually doing all kinds of different stuff with E.T. And in the end, E.T. had to go back to his home planet and left them. And that was very sad because, I thought that, when you have a friend, then you can just keep him, right? But this movie taught me that you have to sometimes let a friend go. And sometimes you have to be the bigger person. Even though you enjoy the company of the other person, sometimes it's better for both if you separate, because the other person has to go back to find back to their own roots. Movie 2, Dead Poets Society. It's a movie with Robin Williams, and he is a teacher at a private college, and he teaches English literature, and he has an unconventional teaching style. He teaches the students to embrace what they really want, what they really like, become poets or writers, and he teaches the students that it's really important to listen to their own calling and don't do anything that the school tells them to do. Right? There's one iconic scene where where a student named Anderson is really shy and horrified and standing up in class, and Robin Williams tells him to get up and tell the class his demonic yawp, and the student is terrified, and the teacher tells the students that they have to embrace the day, use the time when you have it. So he encourages that student to get up, and the student actually says this demonic "yawp," and then he comes up with an ad hoc poem that the teacher makes him just think about. And that movie, that scene particularly, told me that you have to overcome your fear of standing in front of people, because there's really only this one life, and you can't just give in to fear, because in the end, as the movie also says, you're just worm fodder. So use the opportunities you have, carpe diem, pluck the day, and do whatever you really want to do with it. That's number 2. Number 3, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So Monty Python, pretty funny already, and that movie, King Artus and his fellow knights are chasing after the Holy Grail. Several movies done about that. This is a funny version, and they have this big monster, which turns out to be a fluffy bunny, and the holy hand grenade of Antioch. Then they have the bridge troll, who asked some questions, and it really turns out very unexpected. I don't want to take away the fun by explaining the jokes here, so I've attached some clips in the accompanying blog post to this video, and have fun watching it. The next movie, Monty Python and the Meaning of Life. So this is a funny view of Monty Python from birth to death, and the death scene in there is especially hilarious, because death knocks on the door of a house where people are having a dinner party, and his mission is to take them all with him because they ate some spoiled food. And well, despite it's Mr. Death and looks pretty grim, they just politely let him in and start the incessant chatter until he can't stand it anymore, and commands them to come with him. Pretty hilarious scene, one of my favorite ones, and it told me that you don't need to take death too serious. Even that is not really serious, and you can look at it with a laughing eye. Helped me a lot, seeing things more in perspective and not being fearful of life. Next movie are the even-numbered Star Trek movies. So I don't know what it is, but the odd-numbered Star Trek movies, they're not that impressive, and the even-numbered Star Trek movies are great. Just coincidence? I don't know. So basically, number 2, The Wrath of Khan, where Captain Kirk hunts down an old nemesis named Khan, and it's basically a classic adaptation with starships of the classic battle between a destroyer and a submarine in many war movies. Khan's ship can be cloaked, so it's like hunting a submarine that dives away, and it's a very, 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 very gripping duel scene. And also Kirk's shouts of "Khan! Khan!" That is some of the most, these monotonic shouts. Those were just emblematic of a captain having like a very narrow vision, seeing only what he wants, especially focused on his goal. And I found that very impressive. The movie number 4 features the Star Trek Enterprise crew traveling back in time to the San Francisco of the 80s. And Dr. McCoy finds a patient in one of the local hospitals where they are, and she has kidney problems and needs dialysis, so he gives her a pill, and then her kidney grows back. I found that really impressive, and back in the 80s that was really, well, that was like far off future vision, but now we can print organs with a 3D printer, and we can grow organs from stem cells, and it's not too far off really that you swallow a pill and you can grow a new organ. Number 6 is The Undiscovered Country, and in it there is a scene where Kirk and McCoy are banned on a penal colony that is on an ice planet run by Klingons, and it's called Rura Penthe. And the specialty of that penal colony is that there are no watchtowers, there are no guarding rails. Um, Punishment is actually putting people out into the open because they will never survive. It's that cold out there. So a penal colony where you can't escape, or you can escape, but you won't survive. That is really special. And number 8 was First Contact, where it's retold how Vulcans make first contact to humans and so on and so forth. And it takes place in the year 2063, and that basically shows you that, hey, I could still be alive at 2063, so it means we could still witness aliens making contact with us, right? Maybe. So it put this in a very real light, and I found this in a way very, very interesting to think about that. Movie number 7, would be a movie of the Star Wars franchise, and it's the second one, or the 5th one, Empire Strikes Back. So Empire Strikes Back is one of the best movies of all times. It has everything from friendship and betrayal, unexpected family relations, and a lot of action and duel scenes, and great storytelling. And it starts with one of the scenes where the rebels are holding a position on the ice planet Hoth, and they are attacked by Imperial walkers. So first of all, these walkers show you that the Empire is not just a power within space, but also on the ground. And then the opening scene leading up to the first attack of these walkers is great, with all the background music and everything. It basically adds suspense before they unleash the walkers. And it shows you everything about the whole movie. When you see the first Star Wars movie that was shown, where you have like a small ship hunted by this giant Star Destroyer, people have said, you know everything about that you need to know about the Empire in that opening scene. And for me, the opening scene of movie 2 of The Empire Strikes Back is basically very similar to that, but it's taking place on the ground, so you can really not escape from the Empire at all, and it makes it really this gigantic foe. It's great. Number 8 is an Alfred Hitchcock movie, North by Northwest. The scene where Cary Grant plays a guy that gets mistaken for a spy and gets hunted, and you don't really know who is on which side. But there's one iconic scene where he's waiting for his contact in the middle of nowhere. There's a road, there's a bus stop, and he stands there, and there's a guy walking out of a car, and this guy, interestingly, is not his contact, or doesn't purport to be his contact. The guy leaves, and then he sees this innocent little plane that cruises around, and a crop duster. And while Cary Grant still wonders what this crop duster is doing there, the plane comes closer and all of a sudden chases him. And the great thing about that scene was that you don't need to have like a dark alley to create suspense. That whole scene creates, by all the events in that scene, creates suspense. You know something's supposed to happen, something innocent, but you get to wait and wait and wait. He has to wait for a contact, but that contact doesn't really show up. So there's some tension and some suspense that's building up, right? And then in the end, it's released when this crop duster makes a dive for Cary Grant, and it's one of the best scenes ever. So that's what I learned from North by Northwest. Number 9, The Wizard of Oz. We probably all know the story. Dorothy is sent out to find the Wizard of Oz and finds several comrades along the way. And the opening scene will always stay in my mind, where she has to put on the slippers and then follow along the yellow brick road. I saw it on German TV, and at that time I was with neighbors, and they were very traditional, a traditional German family, and sort of like the movie fit very much into this whole atmosphere. And so for me, that was my first impression of the US. So for me, the US was about traditional family values and warmth, basically. And so I yearned for seeing that movie again, but they never showed it on TV again. And wasn't until 25 years later when I could just watch it via Netflix. And great, you don't even know what you would miss without the internet if you haven't been born in the 70s. Back then you had TV and you had to watch what they were offering you, and you couldn't even check out when a certain movie would play again. There was no internet. You couldn't certainly not really look it up in the newspapers. And so one more reason to be grateful for what we have nowadays. And maybe even if you don't see something, you get something all of a sudden or immediately, right? Then you can just wait for it like a couple of years. It may just be possible to get what you want later. So Wizard of Oz is also referenced by Stephen King in one of his Dark Tower series books. And yeah, this was just one of the greatest movie. It's a fun movie, and yeah, family values and America. That's what it represented for me. Number 10, Das Boot. It's a German war movie, and it's about a submarine crew, German submarine crew, who is in the Atlantic and has to attack um, military ships and ships from the enemy, right? American, British, and this first of all not a shiny new computerized submarine, like for example that one in Hunt for Red October, which is still great, a great movie, but that submarine in Das Boot is really much closer because it's an older submarine, right? There's no computerized anything on there, and the whole movie shows the very claustrophobic arrangement of the whole crew in small quarters, and how they fear for their life when they have to dive again. They get chased by enemy ships and destroyers, and it shows really how it lets you relive the horrors of war on a very personal level. It shows you how tribe comes together and all these great things it shows you, and is a very realistic depiction of the horrors of war. And it's not sleek and shiny and computerized at all. It's very immediate. It touches you and grips you, and that's why I like it. It's available with English subtitles, so that's you can watch it even if you don't understand German. And now I have lost the list. For some reason, I cannot check the list that I had. So the next movie here was Pulp Fiction. I love Pulp Fiction for the original screenplay. So Quentin Tarantino tells the story not linear, but whole snippets here and there. It all comes back together later on, and basically there were great dialogues in there, and it was very interesting to me how you could make that work. Just fragment the screenplay, put like three different action threads apart, and then put them together later on. And it's full of sarcasm, great dialogues. So that's why it had a big impact on me. Next one, number 12, is The Matrix from the Wachowski brothers. And The Matrix basically starts with the main character, Neo, leaving his office job, and he gets chased by enemy agents, and he has to flee out of his cubicle, out of his lab. And basically what it showed me is that corporations are not your friends. That's what this movie showed me. So the illusion of like you start. So I grew up still with people telling us that you go to school and you start in a company, then you retire. And my relatives did it that way. So they were retiring after 40 years in one company. And though that myth was busted a bit by that movie, and so I always associated Neo's flight from his cubicle in his office that always signaled to me that corporations or the cubicle office, it's not where you want to end up. That's not where you want to have a career later on. So that was the big impact that movie had on me. That basically you want to look for doing things on your own and not subscribe to any corporate or company philosophy. Because for most companies and corporations, you're just dispensable. Number 13 was Papillon with Steve McQueen. And this movie was showing me that there is hope in the face of despair. Papillon is somebody who is on a penal colony and has to survive, and he could rat out somebody who gave him extra food, but he didn't do it, even though it could have almost cost him his life. And in the end, he gets freedom and is freed. And even though Steve McQueen played this character so frail and so fragile, I vividly remember that there is really hope if you stick to what you yourself really want to the end. Then there's hope, and you can achieve anything. In the end, you'll be free, and that's what that movie told me. And the last one for now is Groundhog Day. Basically, I forgot his name. The main character, he has to live. Bill Murray, exactly. Bill Murray is a cynical TV reporter who really doesn't want to cover Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, where every day Phil the groundhog comes out and predicts the weather, and he thinks it's stupid, and he just is arrogant and cynical, and he gets punished for that. He gets punished. He gets stuck in a time loop and has to relive that day over and over and over again. And so at first he indulges in hedonism, and after he tries to kill himself multiple times and doesn't escape that time loop, and then he starts learning all kind of different things. Learns to play the piano, learns first aid that he can help somebody who just swallowed a piece of meat in the restaurant, so rescues that guy, and becomes like the perfect person, and still is caught in the time loop. And over time he falls in love with that one woman, and maybe that's a bit cheesy, but this whole movie shows you that if you just keep working on something, then in the end you will be successful. You don't know when that is, and every day you focus on every day, and that's a concept that's also fleshed out by Jeff Olson in his book The Slight Edge. You only focus on the very day, and again next day, and again next day, and then eventually you get to where you want to be. And if you think about it, it seems like Sisyphus pushing the rock, the boulder uphill, and rolls down again, and then you push it up again. In the end, that's a very freeing part of action you take, because every day you do something again, and then you get to do it again, and you're not beholden to anything that you need to do. Nobody forces something on you that you work towards. You look at every day on your own until you figure it out. And what Sisyphus never could, Bill Murray in that movie Groundhog Day can. He escapes the time loop once he's learned enough about himself to move on. And I found that a very positive message. Just don't worry, just repeat, and eventually you will be there. Those are my ideas for 14 iconic movies, and I wish you lots of fun when you watch them. Let me know, and actually, I think I made my own mistake. I think I told you about 30 movies. So number 14 is The Godfather. The Godfather was impressive to me because it shows a whole family dynasty. Shows that that's a strong family that gets together with the Godfather, and that family honor is important beyond all else. And it's just an impressive family portrait, and shows a lot about family structure and tradition, about love and betrayal, and acting in face of the foe, face of your enemies. And those are important lessons, I think. So that's why this movie impressed me a lot. All right, that's it. Hope you liked it. if you enjoyed this, video, click on like and leave a comment for me. I answer every comment. Leave a comment on my blog, lifesciencementor.com. I have the link down there. And so far, I wish you a nice start in the next week. And all the best. See you tomorrow. Bye.